Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. Running through the 2019 college recruiting classes, we've done the SEC, the ACC. We're splitting up the Big Ten by the football standings, football divisions, mind you. They did the East. Now we're on to the West. And Shooter, we're starting off with Illinois. They had a really good class make it to campus for the 2018. How's 2019 looking?
2019 is going to really do well with that 18 class. Right at the top, Brody Harding, a shortstop, who, I'm a big fan. We've seen him out on the national circuit, can really pick it side to side. I think he'll be a top-of-the-order type bat. Grant Leader, smaller frame right-handed pitcher. But actually, 2 years ago, I saw him go head-to-head with Brendan Malone, who has potential to be a first-round pick, in a 1-0 game. And Leader can really spin it. I think he'll get even better on campus, but he's a winner above all else. So he's going to be a good one at Illinois. Cole Kirshaber, left-handed pitcher, who's one of the top uncommitted guys going into last year. Just a winner. Mm-hmm. The stuff doesn't jump out. He's not throwing 93, 94, but he's going to change you up. He's going to spin it in there, and he's going to throw strikes. It really keeps hitters off balance, which is something you love to see on Saturdays and Sundays in the Big Ten. And then Xavier Watson out of Wisconsin really gets after it. Wisconsin the past few years had really good fielders up the middle. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be another one of those guys. But this Illinois class, really nice looking in 2019.
Excellent. So maybe they can help the Illini return to regional action with those 18 and 19 classes.
I think they will.
Moving on to the Hawkeyes of Iowa. Got Peyton Williams as the top recruit coming in, but you also got Sean Barnard, Jackson Vines. Shooter, tell us a little bit about this class.
Yeah, I feel like at Iowa, when you come on your recruiting trip, they say to you, if you hit, you don't sit. And those are the type of guys they bring in. Big bodies like Peyton Williams, first baseman out of Iowa, who can just destroy baseballs. Really plays well in the Big Ten. Then Sean Barnard, Jackson Vines, two very projectable right-handers that I really enjoyed in the past. Future gamers, Jackson Vines was a guy who was up to 89 a couple of years ago. And when I was watching, the best thing I liked about him, he looked like a shortstop who just hopped on the mound. The athleticism was there, big-time competitor, gets after it there. Sean Barnard can turn over a changeup, feel for 3 pitches, looks like a future starter. And then Tyler Snepp, catcher out of Illinois, who just continues to do good things. Every time we see him, he gets a hit.
Mm-hmm. And then we move on to the Golden Gophers of Minnesota, who went into Colorado to get one of the top players in the state of Colorado, first baseman right-hander Sam Ireland, as well as top 500 recruit Will Anderson, a left-hander.
Yeah, Sam Ireland's a guy who I saw a couple of years ago for the first time, said, hey, this dude's going to hit. And he may be a first baseman only, but he also hops on the mound, has been in the 90s. But because he was a first baseman, I think some other schools got scared off, which was good for Minnesota because he's going to hit in the middle of that order at some point and really deliver some runs. Will Anderson, a left-handed arm, who I think the sky's the limit for this kid. Good feel for 3 pitches, throws an aggressive breaking ball. It's going to get some swings and misses. They do a great job with that Gophers staff in developing guys. Bennett Thiessen, who's a big-time middle linebacker in football. Got to watch the fall championships a year ago, and just seeing the slider that he was ripping out, I would not want to see that in a regional or super regional if I'm coming in to play Minnesota in the late innings. And then Michael Gurka out of Illinois, who had one of the best future game experiences and performances a couple years ago, where he had the fastball working, he had the slider working. If they get all that stuff going together, you're talking about a frontline arm.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Then heading over to Nebraska, we talked about this with Illinois getting a really good class, from 18 onto campus. I know you and I both love that class that Nebraska got to campus. How is the 2019 class shaping up for them? Aaron Dolney's the top guy coming in out of Michigan.
Yeah, it's another class similar to Illinois that's going to aid that big 18 class. Aaron Dolney, catcher, can also pitch too if you need it, but he's got a powerful bat. He's going to stick behind the plate. Braxton Bragg, really going to give some depth to the Nebraska pitching staff. He's going to be able to come into some tough situations. He brings that fire. He brings that energy. Going to be a low to mid-90s guy with a nice little slider. Sayer Diedrich out of the state of Nebraska. We talk about Nebraska getting a lot of two-way players and having them produce. Sayer Diedrich's a chance to do that. He's a left-handed pitcher, also an outfielder. sweet swing and stroke with a loose arm. And then the sleeper in this class for me is Leighton Banjoff, an outfielder out of Ohio. I think he's going to have some big juice on campus, and pitchers are not going to like pitching to him.
Excellent. And then at Northwestern, you got good facilities. Spencer Allen doing a great job with that program. Not an easy place to play, so I'm going to guess that a few of these recruits are pretty hard-nosed and tough guys.
Yeah, you got some big arms right at the top. Jack Saucer out of Illinois, 6'6", 206. So that body is just starting to develop, 86 to 88, but there's more in the tank for him. Kobe Moe, another 6'4", 200-pounder with much more on the way. It's a short arm action. I think he's going to get even more velocity as he learns to use his legs a bit more. And then they dipped into Texas for a couple guys, Evan Minorovich and Reed Smith. Reed Smith I saw a couple years ago. I think he has a chance to give some depth in the bullpen and maybe swing the bat a little bit.
Excellent. And then wrapping up the Big Ten West, we take a look at Purdue. Has really come on strong since that coaching change. Obviously, Mark Wasikowski has made a big name for himself as a recruiter, especially at Arizona, Oregon. He's the head coach now, and he brings in Elliot Kribbe, who is at Seattle U, highly respected in the Pacific Northwest. So he's starting to pick guys out of there as well as Western Canada. Shooter, I love this class. We saw Josh Mears at the area code games. Big physical dude, some rawness to his game, but he's got tools. Adam Mako, the left-hander out of Alberta. Nate Wheeldryer out of Washington is a pretty good right-hander who throws strikes. Got Jet Jackson coming out of Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
This is a good-looking class for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, and you talked about Elliot Kribbe coming on, but Cooper Fouts coming over from Pepperdine. I don't know if Cooper Fouts ever sleeps. So he's on the recruiting trail constantly. They also got Michael Bolton, a good-looking athlete out of Illinois. But you talked about it. Having Adam Mako being a premier frontline left-hander, they may worry about a little bit in the draft. And then Jet Jackson, who they added this summer. He's up into the low 90s. There's much more in there because he's still got about 25 or 30 pounds to put on. But you said it, Josh Mears, he can hit tanks. So this is an excellent class for Purdue. They got a great staff put together there, so it's going to be fun in West Lafayette.
Excellent. So there's a look at the Big Ten West to wrap up the week, looking at the entire Big Ten. Be sure to go to prepbaseballreport.com where you can find our podcast, where we go obviously into a lot more depth, and we will continue our look at the recruiting classes. Got the Big 12 and the Pac-12 coming up, as well as some power majors, Shooter. So be sure to stay tuned to Coffee and Curveballs. But as always, for Shooter Hunt, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs. And until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.